Hi everyone, welcome back to Live Darts TV. The waiting is finally over after 4 months. Darts is back on our television screens and it's back with a bang. It's the 2020 Betfred World Matchplay as 32 of the world's top players compete for the Phil Taylor Trophy and £700,000 in prize money. Sadly, for the first time since the tournament was introduced in 1994, it's not going to be at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool due to the coronavirus pandemic. It's back to Milton Keynes, the Marshall Arena, and that in itself presents a fascinating event. Could we see an outsider come through and win it, or as we've seen so often, will one of the big names prevail? Let's look ahead to this year's summer showpiece. So the field is once again comprised of the world's top 16 players from the main order of merit, and they're joined by the next 16 non-automatic qualifiers from the Pro Tour order of merit. And this year's Betfred World Matchplay includes 4 debutants: Portugal's José de Saussure, Germany's Gabriel Clemens, Belgium's Dimitri van den Berg, and Newcastle's Ryan Joyce, who picked up his first PDC ranking title in the summer series. Michael van Gogh is seeded number 1 as he goes for his 3rd World Matchplay title and the first since 2016. And he's followed by 2nd seed Peter Wright, the reigning world champion, who's looking to add to that Ali Pali triumph for the first Matchplay title, having finished runner-up to Phil Taylor in 2017. Gerwyn Price is looking to improve on an otherwise underwhelming record at the World Matchplay. He's a number 3 seed as he bids to add to his back-to-back Grand Slam triumphs. And then we have reigning and defending champion Rob Cross, the number 4 seed, looking to join an elite group behind the likes of Rod Harrington, Phil Taylor and Michael van Gogh to successfully retain this crown. Gary Anderson, winner here in 2018, was also a 9-darter on the Winter Gardens stage. He comes into it in his lowest position for a few years, actually, the number 8 seed. And that actually puts him in the same section of the draw as Michael van Gogh, and they're on a potential collision course for the quarterfinals. We'll get to the draw in a moment. Menzo Suljovic, another former finalist there, as the number 12 seed. And he's followed by Krzysztof Ratajski, making only his 2nd appearance in the World Matchplay. And it just shows the progress he's made. He stormed into the world's top 16 and is seeded in only his 2nd appearance. He could do some real damage. He's got Jermaine Watamina in the first round, which is a distinct clash of styles there. It'll be interesting. Glenn Durant, also his 2nd World Matchplay appearance, reached the semi-finals last year, beating MVG en route. He's number 15 seed, having moved into the top 16 before the summer series, and he's moved up a place, which means he would avoid Michael van Gogh in the 2nd round. Had he been number 16 seed, which now falls to Simon Whitlock, he would have been in place to potentially take on MVG. Jeffrey Dujvan, a semi-finalist at the Winter Gardens 2 years ago, he's among the Pro Tour qualifiers. But he has been struggling with a shoulder injury in recent months, and he admitted before the summer series that he could barely lift his elbow. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares. He's got Glenn Durant in the first round. And speaking of injuries, Justin Pipe, he had to pull out of the last 2 summer series events due to a similar arm injury. And he's got Gary Anderson. It doesn't come much tougher than that. So it'll be interesting to see if Justin's recovered much from last week. Should he actually pull out, I think Ryan Searle would be first in line. First reserve to take his place and make his debut. But let's hope for Justin's sake that he is fit enough to compete and give Gary Anderson a run for his money. And what about Steve Beaton making his 20th consecutive World Matchplay appearance? That is a record, and it underlines the incredible longevity of the Bronze Adonis, that he's managed to qualify through the Pro Tour Order of Merit once again. And that was narrowly ahead of Ricky Evans, who claimed the 16th and final Pro Tour qualifying spot. He faced a nervous wait on the last day of the summer series as Devon Peterson went on that crazy run, performed superbly, Devon Peterson did, but it was Ricky Evans who held on to secure his return to the matchplay. So here is the first round lineup then in draw bracket order. You can see on the left-hand side is the top half of the draw, and on the right-hand side is the bottom half of the draw. Just going to run you through some of the key standout matches. You've got to say the one that really leaps off the page there is Peter Wright against José de Saussure, the reigning world champion, against one of 4 debutants in this year's World Matchplay. Now, Wright is looking to complete a prestigious double of having won the world title and the World Matchplay in the same year. That's something that very few players have managed to do, and that would be a fantastic achievement. Of course, it would be his 3rd televised title of the year because he also won the Masters in January. And he heads into it having also won a summer series event as well. But that is a really tough first-round game for Peter Wright, make no mistake about it. De Sousa has actually won 2 of the 3 previous meetings and is making a little bit of history. He's the first Portuguese player to compete in the World Matchplay, and he is in a red-hot run of form. We saw him reach the final of a Summer Series event. He's already a multiple PDC title winner. There are question marks over his TV form, though. He's never been beyond the last 32 in 6 televised appearances. He was really disappointing by his standards in the World Championship, losing in straight sets to Australia's Damon Hetter. And it's a tough. This will actually be the longest game he's played as a PDC player so far, best of 19. So it's a real test of his ability and mental strength as well against the reigning world champion over that distance. But the form he's in, he's capable of registering huge averages, as we've seen on the tour over the last year or so. I remember he beat Gogh and Price in the final of a Pro Tour event. So he's clearly got the capabilities to beat the top players, but can he do it on that big stage environment? Okay, there's no crowd, but could that actually play into his favour? And as we've mentioned, reigning champion Rob Cross kicks off his title defence against Gabriel Clemens of Germany. You've got to say Clemens is the German number one. He'd have to, maybe not ranking-wise, but certainly form-wise at the moment, he is the best player in Germany, and he will serve up a real tough test for Rob Cross, make no mistake about that. Cross has actually said this year has been a bit of a nightmare form-wise. Prior to lockdown, even in the Premier League, he struggled, and there is obviously going to be a little bit more pressure on him being defending champion. He doesn't want to bomb out in the first round. Clemens beat Cross in the German Masters World Series event on home soil. He actually went on to reach the final, and he does have experience over this sort of format as he reached the knockout stage of the Grand Slam we saw last November. I think he took on Durant on that occasion and just narrowly was defeated in a deciding leg. Gogh and Price have already alluded to his below par record in this competition. He's actually lost in the first round in his last 3 visits to Blackpool. But will the change of venue prove a turning point for the Iceman? He's got Danny Noppert in the first round, and that is also, again, a tough game. Noppert, a steady, consistent performer. He's now well established in the world's top 32, and he's proved he can do it on TV as well by reaching the final of the World Series finals last November, losing to MVG in the final. Price has won both of their televised meetings, including a 10-3 thrashing in the UK Open back in March. And incredibly, if you look at his recent record in general televised competition, he's reached 4 finals and a semi-final in his last 5 major appearances. The semi-finals was the World Championship. But that is an incredible run of consistency, and it just proves why he is among the elite of the elite. And he is, regardless of his record in this competition, he is a key contender for this title. Probably one of the closest match ties in the first round sees Michael Smith take on Johnny Clayton. Clayton having recently just dropped out of the world's top 16, but qualified on the Pro Tour list. Smith, well, he'll go into it confident. He's won 6 of the last 7 meetings against Clayton, including a 7-1 thrashing in the Premier League earlier this year when Clayton appeared as a challenger. Smith will be looking to go on better than his runner-up spot last year. I remember backstage after that final, he was absolutely distraught at losing that. He thought that was his big chance to get that monkey off his back and win the first major. But he looks good, Michael Smith. He's lost a lot of weight. He didn't perform too well in the PDC Summer Series. Maybe it took a bit of time to adjust. But we all know what a free-flowing, capable, natural talent that he is. And he will fancy his chances of going on another deep run. Clayton was a semi-finalist at the UK Open in March. We all know what a clinical scorer he is as well. So he can match Michael Smith on the scoring stakes. It's just what tends to let Johnny Clayton down is his finishing. So often you see his doubles percentage is under 30%, and he's going to have to brush up on that against Michael Smith, or he will get punished. 2 stalwarts of this competition go head-to-head. Steve Beaton, as we mentioned, making his 20th consecutive World Matchplay appearance. He takes on 2-time world champion Adrian Lewis. The pair have met in 2 previous World Matchplays, Lewis winning them both, including 2017. Lewis has moved back up to 13th on the PDC Order of Merit, but he just tends to be sort of yo-yoing in and out of the top 16 at the moment. He's just desperately looking for that consistency. We saw him break his duck of televised quarterfinals at the Grand Slam, but it's just not quite happened for Adrian in the last few months. He's tinkered about with his setup. Like Michael Smith, he's also lost a bit of weight, so it'll be interesting to see which Adrian Lewis turns up. But if the real Adrian Lewis turns up, then we all know he's a threat to anyone. Beaton, like he always does, will just go up and enjoy the occasion. No fans, but he just loves being on that stage. He wouldn't play beyond the age he's playing at if he didn't enjoy the game. He just plays with a smile on his face, and if he gets the result, that's a bonus. But that's what makes him dangerous, is his laid-back attitude. Let's take a quick look at the outright odds then. It's no surprise to see Michael van Gerwen in his customary position as tournament favourite. 13-8 is his current price. He's not made the final since 2016, which is a long time by his standards, but just looking at the draw, his half of the draw and on current form, it is difficult to see. I know it's quite cliche to say, but it's difficult to see past him reaching the final. Brendan Dolan in the first round, then Simon Whitlock or Ryan Joyce, potential quarterfinal against Gary Anderson or James Wade, and then potentially, it could be likes of Rob Cross, Michael Smith, Mensa Suljovic, maybe even Christopher Tyskie in the semi-final. But this format, the long haul legs format, suits the top players. Michael's made no secret of that in recent years. He loves this format, much prefers it to set play. And that's what will play into his hands, I think. I think his quality will be pressed home over this format. And that's why the cream does tend to rise in this competition. But in terms of each weight value, Glenn Durant made the semi-finals last year. In fact, he made 3 major semi-finals last year. He's 33-1. Now, with Glenn, he does tend to, he's there or thereabouts in the latter stages of televised tournaments. You're going to get a good run for your money from Duzzer. So I think 33-1 is not a bad shout. Obviously, you take away the crowd element as well. You've got to be looking at the players who are good on the floor. So Ian White, 40-1. Not got a great record in majors, but he is good on the floor. 40-1 for Ian White. Gogh and Price for me, 13-2. I would expect Gogh to be there or thereabouts this year. We have mentioned his poor record in this competition, but got Danny Noppert, then Adrian Lewis or Steve Beaton if he gets through that. And then his first massive test, I think, would come against potentially Nathan Aspinall in the quarterfinals. But Gogh and Price, 13-2. I would expect him to be there or thereabouts. And Daryl Gurney, 40-1 seems quite big to me. He's a man on a mission, having squandered that huge lead against Rob Cross in the semi-finals last year. And I just think for a player, a 2-time major winner, Premier League player, 40-1 in his section of the draw is not a bad bet. He's got Ricky Evans in the first round, Dave Chisnell or Vincent van der Voort it would be in round 2. And then, potentially, Durant or Wright in the quarterfinals. But Daryl Gurney, 40-1, you might get a decent run for your money from Superchin. So that concludes our preview for this year's Betfred World Matchplay. It is going to be a little bit different. It is probably going to take some getting used to from a players' and fans' perspective behind closed doors. I don't think the standard will suffer at all. I think the players will really step up and we'll see some fantastic games and some big averages. It has to be said, well done to the PDC for getting this event on in the first place. I know a lot of work's gone into it. So we look forward to a great week. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget, if you aren't already, please follow us across all social media platforms for complete coverage of the entire week of the World Matchplay, and subscribe to us on YouTube, and make sure you hit that notification bell for the next time we upload.